Ladies and gentlemen, if you truly understood that tomorrow is not promised, the way you approach every single moment of your life would change in an instant. Think about how often you delay the things that matter most to you because you believe you'll have time later. You say you'll call that friend tomorrow, you'll start the business next month, you'll make peace with your past when it feels more convenient, you'll forgive when you feel ready. But what if that later never comes? What if God looked you in the eye right now and told you might not see tomorrow? How would you feel knowing you spent today in frustration, worry, or self-doubt instead of using it to create something meaningful? That realization alone should be enough to wake you up from the sleepwalking pattern most people live in. The truth is, most people act like they have an endless supply of days. They wake up thinking there's always another sunrise, always more time to sort things out, always a future in which they can finally start living the way they want. That illusion is what feeds procrastination, fear, and negativity. When you truly grasp that time is your most valuable, non-refundable resource, you stop wasting it on things that drain you and start investing it into things that expand you. Negativity is a thief. It doesn't just rob you of joy in the moment. It steals hours, days, even years from your life without you realizing it. Every minute you spend replaying old mistakes, holding grudges, comparing yourself to others, or worrying about things that might never happen is a minute you'll never get back. And here's the hard truth. It's not life that's short. It's that you spend too much of it on the wrong things. Imagine your life as a bank account with a balance you can't see. Every day you withdraw 24 hours and you have no idea when your balance will hit zero. Would you really spend those withdrawals gossiping, complaining, or scrolling aimlessly through other people's lives? Or would you spend them creating, loving, learning, and building something that outlasts you? When you see time through that lens, negativity becomes a luxury you cannot afford. The problem is that most people let their emotions decide how they use their time. They wake up in a bad mood, so they waste the day sulking. They face a challenge, so they spend hours stressing instead of problem solving. They get offended, so they throw away days on resentment. This is like finding out your days are numbered and deciding to burn through them on things that give you no return. If you knew your life could end at any moment, you would protect your time like a treasure chest. You wouldn't hand it over to anyone or anything that doesn't move you closer to your vision. You would understand that time is not just passing, it's disappearing. Every tick of the clock is a piece of your life you'll never see again. When you start living with that awareness, you naturally stop entertaining negative thoughts. You begin to understand that every second spent in self-doubt is a second stolen from your potential. Every hour spent replaying the past is an hour you could have spent creating a better future. Every day wasted on fear is a day you could have used to grow stronger, wiser, and more prepared. It's not about pretending challenges don't exist. It's about refusing to give them more of your life than they deserve. Living like tomorrow isn't guaranteed changes how you speak, how you think, and how you act. You stop leaving love unspoken because you realize you may never get the chance to say it again. You stop holding back your talents because you realize you might never have another stage to share them. You stop postponing your dreams because you realize the perfect moment will never come. Only the present moment is real. You stop letting trivial problems dominate your mind because you realize none of them will matter when your time is up. The urgency of life becomes your filter. You start asking, if this were my last day, would I want to spend it this way? And suddenly gossip doesn't matter. Petty arguments don't matter. Overthinking doesn't matter. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. And when you live intentionally, negativity has no place to grow. You begin to make decisions with purpose, with clarity, and with an understanding that your time is the most sacred thing you have. You see that the people who spend their lives in bitterness, anger, or jealousy are not just unhappy. They are wasting the one thing they can never get back. It's not just about avoiding negativity. It's about replacing it. When you know tomorrow isn't promised, you fill today with meaning. You spend time with the people who inspire you. You pursue the work that excites you. You take risks you've been putting off for years. You stop waiting for the right mood to start living because you understand that life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Every hour becomes an opportunity to create something valuable, to express something real, to move one step closer to the life you want. And in doing so, you naturally push out the space negativity used to occupy in your mind. If you woke up this morning, that means you were given another deposit of 24 hours into your account. The question is, will you invest it in building your vision, strengthening your relationships, and becoming the person you're capable of being? Or will you let it slip through your fingers while you feed the emotions that are slowly stealing your life from you? Negative feelings have a way of convincing you that they are who you are, as if sadness, anger, fear, or doubt are permanent fixtures in your personality. But that's not the truth. You are not your feelings. You are the power behind them, the one who experiences them, the one who has the ability to change them. Feelings are like passing weather. They can be intense. They can be overwhelming. They can seem like they'll never end, but they always move. The problem is that most people start to identify with them. They say, I'm an anxious person, or I'm just not a happy person. And in doing so, they start to build their life around a temporary state. When you understand that emotions are not your identity, but rather your response to what you're focusing on, you begin to take your power back. Every emotion you feel is the result of a thought, and every thought is the result of what you choose to focus on. That means if you focus on problems, you feel stress. If you focus on losses, you feel grief. If you focus on what's missing, you feel lack. But the opposite is also true. If you focus on blessings, you feel gratitude. If you focus on progress, you feel motivated. If you focus on possibility, you feel hope. The problem isn't the feelings, it's the source you're drawing them from. If you pour dirty water into a glass, you can't complain that the drink isn't clean. In the same way, if you pour negative thoughts into your mind, you can't expect to feel light, joyful, and free. Your mind is like a projector, and your life is the screen. Whatever picture you put into it will eventually be the image you see in front of you. Most people don't realize they are constantly feeding their minds with the same pictures that create the same feelings. Then they wonder why their lives don't change. You cannot create a new life with the same mental film playing over and over. If you want different feelings, you must direct your focus toward different images. This isn't about denying reality. It's about choosing where to put your energy. Two people can live through the same event and feel entirely different emotions because they interpret it differently. One sees loss, the other sees a lesson. One feels defeat, the other feels direction. The difference isn't in what happened, it's in how they chose to think about it. The moment you separate yourself from your feelings, you stop being controlled by them. You begin to observe them instead of becoming them. You might say, I'm noticing fear right now. Instead of I am afraid, that small shift creates space. And in that space, you can decide what to do next. You can question the thought that created the feeling. You can ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Is this helping me become the person I want to be? If the answer is no, you can replace it with a thought that will. You are the thinker of your thoughts, not the victim of them. Negative feelings thrive in a mind that has no vision. When you don't have a clear picture of where you're going, your mind defaults to what it knows. Usually fear, worry, or doubt. But when you set your mind on a specific goal, something you truly want, your focus naturally shifts toward the steps that will get you there. And as your focus shifts, so do your feelings. You can't be deeply engaged in working towards something meaningful and still be consumed by the same level of negativity. It simply doesn't fit. The energy required to create pulls you away from the energy that destroys. It's also important to understand that feelings follow action. Many people wait until they feel better before they do something positive, but that's backward. You don't wait for motivation to start. You start, and motivation comes as a result. You don't wait for happiness to show up. You do the things that create happiness, and the feeling grows. You don't wait for confidence to take the leap. You take the leap, and confidence is built through the process. By taking deliberate action toward the life you want, you naturally generate the feelings you desire because your mind aligns with your movement. Another way to shift feelings is through gratitude. Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to pull yourself out of a negative state because it forces your mind to focus on what's right instead of what's wrong. You can't feel deep gratitude and deep anger at the same time. It's like trying to face two opposite directions at once. Even in difficult moments, there are things you can acknowledge: the fact that you're breathing, the fact that you have another day to try again, the fact that you have lessons learned from past experiences. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it changes how you meet them. And that change in perspective transforms the feelings that follow. The key is to practice the separation between yourself and your emotions daily, not just when life gets overwhelming. It's about training your mind to recognize that a thought is just a thought and a feeling is just a feeling. Neither defines you. You are the one who decides which thoughts to keep, which to release, and which to replace. And that decision determines the emotional quality of your life. The more you practice directing your focus toward what empowers you, the less time you'll spend drowning in what depletes you. When you remember that you are the power behind the feelings, you stop letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions for you. Instead, you become intentional about how you think, what you focus on, and ultimately how you feel. Without a vision, negative feelings have a way of becoming the default state of your mind. When there's no clear picture of where you want to go, your mind drifts into worry, fear, and doubt because it has nothing concrete to focus on. It's like being on a ship without a destination. You end up tossed around by every wave, reacting to every storm, and feeling helpless because there's no chosen course. But the moment you create a vision, a vivid and specific image of what you want your life to look like, you give your mind something powerful to work toward. Vision becomes the anchor that holds you steady when negative emotions try to pull you off track. It doesn't mean you won't face problems, but it means those problems won't define you because you have a bigger picture guiding you forward. A vision is not just a vague wish. It's not, I want to be happy or I want to be successful. Those are feelings and outcomes, not visions. A vision is detailed, clear, and emotionally charged. It's a mental movie of the life you want to live with every sense engaged. You can see it, hear it, feel it, and even taste the results. When your mind has this level of clarity, it begins to filter out distractions and focus on opportunities that align with your desired outcome. And because your focus shifts, your feelings shift with it. Negativity has a hard time surviving in a mind that is consumed by purpose. Think about it. When you're deeply absorbed in working towards something you care about, you don't have much space for self-pity or hopelessness. A person training for a marathon doesn't spend their mornings dwelling on failure. They're too busy running. An artist pouring hours into their masterpiece isn't stuck in overthinking. They're too engaged in creating. Action toward a meaningful vision crowds out the mental space negativity usually occupies. Your brain can't fully focus on building and tearing yourself down at the same time. It has to choose, and vision forces it to choose creation. When you have a clear vision, it also changes how you interpret challenges. Without vision, every setback feels like a dead end. With vision, setbacks become temporary detours. You begin to see problems as part of the process instead of proof that you should give up. If you're climbing a mountain and you know the summit is your goal, a rocky patch of trail doesn't discourage you. It just becomes another obstacle to navigate. The same principle applies to life. A strong vision reframes your struggles so they feel meaningful instead of meaningless. One of the biggest reasons people sink into negative emotions is because they feel stuck. They're moving through life without direction, waiting for something outside of themselves to give them purpose. But purpose isn't found, it's built, and it's built through vision. When you take the time to write down exactly what you want, not just in your career or finances, but in your relationships, health, and personal growth, you give yourself a blueprint. Suddenly, each day has a point. Each action connects to a bigger picture. And the more connected you feel to that picture, the harder it becomes for negativity to dominate your state of mind. Vision also creates anticipation. Anticipation is a powerful emotional state. It pulls you forward, fuels your energy, and keeps you looking ahead instead of dwelling on the past. When you're excited about what's coming, even small steps toward it feel rewarding. That excitement is the opposite of the heaviness that comes with fear and despair. It lifts you mentally, giving you the strength to keep going when things get hard. And the stronger your emotional connection to your vision, the more it can overpower temporary feelings of discouragement. The clarity of vision even affects the kind of people you attract. When you're uncertain about your life, you tend to drift toward others who are also uncertain, and together you reinforce each other's doubts. But when you're clear about where you're going, you naturally draw in people who are moving in the same direction. These people inspire you, challenge you, and support you, making it even harder for negative feelings to stick around. The environment you create for yourself plays a huge role in your emotional state, and vision shapes that environment. Another overlooked aspect of vision is how it gives your mind a reason to focus on solutions instead of problems. Without vision, a problem feels like the whole picture. With vision, the problem is just a piece of a much larger puzzle. You start asking, how can I get around this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? That mental shift alone can drastically reduce the time you spend in negative emotions because your brain is now occupied with problem solving instead of problem feeling. To truly harness the power of vision, you have to revisit it daily. It's not enough to think about it once and hope it sticks. Your vision needs to live in your mind as clearly as the events happening around you. You need to close your eyes and see it as if it's already real. Feel the emotions of living in it and believe that you are moving toward it with every decision you make. This daily connection strengthens your mental focus, which in turn shapes your feelings. Negativity might still show up, but it will have far less influence because your mind will already be occupied with something far more compelling. The truth is, vision acts like a magnet. It draws you toward your desired future and pulls your attention away from destructive thought patterns. It gives your life meaning on the days when motivation is low and energy is drained. It gives you a reason to keep going when logic says to quit. And perhaps most importantly, it gives you the ability to override your emotions in the moment. because you know they are temporary, but your vision is worth enduring, for fear has a way of paralyzing people, trapping them in hesitation, and keeping them from taking steps that could change everything. It thrives in uncertainty and grows in moments when you wait too long to act. The longer you stand still, the louder fear becomes, whispering every possible reason why you shouldn't move forward. But when you believe that God gave you the gift of life today, when you truly accept that this day is sacred and not guaranteed, you start to realize that hesitation is one of the most expensive habits you can have. Faith and action are the antidotes to fear, because they take the energy you've been giving to worry and redirect it toward creation and progress. Faith is not a passive hope that things will somehow work out. It's a decision to trust the vision you have even when you can't see the entire path. It's the belief that if you keep moving, the road will reveal itself one step at a time. Fear demands that you know every detail before you start. Faith tells you to take the first step and trust that the rest will come when you need it. The truth is, you will never have all the answers before you begin. Waiting until you feel ready is just another form of avoiding the unknown. Readiness is built in motion. The more steps you take, the more capable you become, and the more fear begins to fade. Action is equally powerful because it disrupts the cycle of overthinking. You can't be consumed by fear and fully engaged in action at the same time. Fear feeds on stillness, but action starves it. Every time you move forward despite feeling uncertain, you weaken fear's grip on your life. This doesn't mean you'll never feel fear again. It means fear will lose its ability to control your choices. You start to act even when your heart is racing, even when your mind tries to pull you back, because you've trained yourself to value progress over comfort. Many people live their entire lives waiting for the right moment to begin, not realizing that the right moment is created, not found. They believe they'll take the leap when they have more money, more time, more knowledge, or more confidence. But if tomorrow is not promised, then waiting becomes a dangerous gamble. Every day spent preparing without doing is another day where your dreams stay locked in your mind instead of becoming reality. There's a point where preparation becomes procrastination, and fear hides behind the disguise of, I'm just getting ready. Faith combined with action destroys that pattern because it pushes you to step into the unknown before you have every piece in place. When you decide to act with faith, you begin to see opportunities that fear kept hidden from you. Fear narrows your vision, making you focus only on what could go wrong. Faith opens it, allowing you to see what could go right. This shift in perspective is powerful because your brain starts looking for solutions instead of just scanning for threats. And once you begin taking action, those solutions multiply. You find resources you didn't know existed, meet people who can help you, and discover strengths you didn't realize you had. None of these things would have shown up if you stayed frozen in hesitation. The combination of faith and action also builds resilience. Every time you face fear and move anyway, you prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. This creates a deep inner confidence that no one can take from you because it's not based on theory, it's based on experience. You remember the moments when you were terrified but still moved forward, and you realize that fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're stepping into new territory. And the more you do this, the more you begin to associate fear not with danger, but with growth. Faith and action work together like a muscle that strengthens over time. The first steps might feel shaky, but as you keep going, your ability to trust yourself grows. You stop needing every outcome to be guaranteed before you act. You stop demanding that the path be perfectly clear before you walk it. You learn to adapt along the way. And in that adaptability, you find freedom, because now you're no longer chained to fear's constant need for certainty. You're guided by faith's constant belief in possibility. When you live this way, hesitation starts to feel unnatural. You get used to moving forward, even in uncertainty, and it becomes a habit to act on your vision instead of just thinking about it. That habit compounds over time, leading to results that fear would have never allowed you to reach. And once you see the changes that faith and action can create in your life, you start to wonder why you ever let fear hold the wheel in the first place. The reality is, courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. Courage means you've decided that something else matters more. Your vision, your calling, your purpose. Fear asks you to shrink your life to match your comfort zone. Faith asks you to expand your comfort zone to match your life. And the only way to do that is by taking action, by stepping out when the outcome is still uncertain, by trusting that the same God who gave you today will guide you through the next step once you take it. Every moment you act in faith is a moment where fear loses power and your life gains direction, momentum, and meaning.